Stitchy friends. Hi, my name's Emma and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I live in West Yorkshire and this is my channel Emma's Stitches, talking about all the things I stitch, which is a mix of cross stitch and other sewing projects that I like to do on the sewing machine. Not so much hand stitching, not so much embroidery, but I'm just getting into quilting. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. My last Flosstube was June the 24th, which feels like forever ago, and I'm just under the 2-month mark as today is the 22nd of August. I do find summer, as in school holidays, a little bit tricky. I have 2 boys, I'm a stay-at-home mum, so don't go out to work. So it's quite difficult when the summer holidays roll around and suddenly both the teenage boys are here. Obviously boys are noisy, and they have very long summer holidays. My boys finished on the 10th of July and we've got another 2 weeks to go. 2 weeks today? Is it Thursday? Yeah, 2 weeks today they go back to school, so I'm nearly there. That's why I find it difficult during summer. I always think I can do more than I can, and I just can't because mum duties come to the front all day long. Okay, so what I thought I would do today is a WIP parade, because when I started my Flosstube last October, I started with 15 WIPs, and I'm now currently at, excluding my finishes, I'm at 26 WIPs now, and I have had 8 fully finishes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've had 8 fully finishes in the time since last October, so I thought it would make more sense, given that there's been a bit of a gap, and given that I'm now up to project 34 in my cross stitch journal. I thought it would be worth me going through again and just starting fresh with where I'm up to, and then I'll start to make some plans for autumn, going into autumn, kids going back to school. I mentioned on my last Flosstube that we were trying to move house. That has now gone to the next stage, and the people that live in the house that we want to buy have found a house they want, and so that's gone to solicitors now. So fingers crossed, we are a couple of weeks in, 2-3 weeks into that process now of trying to get everything in order for moving house. So what it means for us is I need to get organised. I do like being organised, but I don't think I'm very organised at the moment. So it's good to do this today because it helps me get organised with all my projects, have another little sort out. It's a big deal filming a Flosstube. My husband has taken the boys out to get their haircuts, and I'm on a very strict time schedule. Probably got about half an hour before they come back, which I don't think I can do because I like to talk too much, so we'll see how we get on. Right, so stop waffling, Emma. So yeah, I'm getting organised. I've taken all my projects off frames and bars, with the exception of my Chatelaine, so that I can show you properly. Some of them have not been touched since last October, not many, 1 or 2. And the other ones have all got progress, but it's spread across all 22 projects, so some progress is less than others, but anyway, it's fine. This is just for me to help me think in my head, what do I want to work on? What should I work on? I want to try and come up with an aim of 3 main projects to work on through September, and potentially 1 or 2 finishes. I think that would be achievable. So I'm going to come to that decision while we're talking, and if you've got any votes on which one or two things you think I absolutely should just push on and get finished, and which projects I should definitely work on in September, then let me know and that'll help. Otherwise, I think I'm going to end up going bonkers. Right, so okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to work my way through my cross stitch journal by It's So Emma. I like to keep a record of everything in here. So those are all my projects, cross stitching projects that I've done since I started the journal, which was just before I started my Flosstube. And the ones that you can see in green are the ones that have been fully finished since then. So all the other ones are outstanding. So I won't go through the fully finishes, you've seen those, but I will go through everything else that's still a current WIP. And then we'll see where we are. I will go through things I've been doing in the last couple of months as and when they come up, and some haul at the end. We'll see how we go. Okay, I'm going to show you my book of days first of all. So this was June. This was a great month. Now obviously I filmed the Flosstube right at the end, so you'll know about most of it. But when I filmed the Flosstube, it was literally just days before the end of my 100 Days of Chatelaine challenge, which I took on, which was to stitch on a chatelaine, or any number of chatelaines, I think. But obviously I'm just working on one for at least 30 minutes a day for 100 consecutive days in the lead up to the Chatelaine retreat, which was 28th of June, which I went on in Crewe, which was fabulous. 2 days of relaxation, all your food, good chat, stitchy chat with friends, and stitching on a chatelaine, and I had a new start while I was there. So that was a great month. And then July, it gets a little bit more sparse because then the children finish school here, and then we wanted to go on holiday somewhere. We got Rafi, our chocolate Labrador, into the kennels for 10, 11, 12 days, something like that. So we managed a little trip to Croatia, here, through here. So in Croatia I still stitched every day. I just took one project with me, and it's one project that I can't tell you about because it's a present for somebody who will be watching, my biggest fan. Okay. Hi Mum. So and then came back from Croatia, and again I'm just managing little bits each day. The Olympics started on the 26th of July, and I decided I wanted to do the Stitch Summer Olympics Challenge, which was hosted by the Naptime Stitcher on Instagram. I absolutely loved this when I saw it, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity for me to work through a lot of my WIPs. So what I decided to do, she said no rules and no challenge police, which is always fun. And then she gave you a calendar. You could just print this off at the time, and for each day she gave you a prompt. So I filled in for each day of the Olympics. So I filled in, so for example, the first day was new start, or stitch something you started in 2024. So I stitched on greenhouse, cottage garden samplings collector series, yeah. And then each day I put down a different project that I've got. I didn't do the same project twice at all. I could carry on stitching on other things once I'd done this, but I treated this a little bit like the Chatelaine challenge in that it had to have 30 minutes of stitching on it to count. So I managed to touch quite a lot of different projects. What was there? 5 there, 6 there, that's 11. And then I did 12, 13, 14. So I did it for 14 days. I did 14 different projects. And then on August the 9th, we went off down to Anglesey, which is North Wales, because my husband's little sister, my sister-in-law, has moved down there with her husband and 2 littlies, one of which is Teddy, who I did the Teddy birth sampler for that you've seen in an earlier episode. So we went down to see their new house and stayed in Anglesey for 3 nights and had great fun. So I did unfortunately miss the last 3 days of the Stitch the Summer Olympics, which was going to be Indian Maiden. No, I did do the Indian Maiden. Which was going to be Polar Mandala, Capricorn and Halloween Letters. So I didn't do those 3. I just again worked on the project I can't show you because it's easy to transport. Anyway, so that was really good fun. I really did enjoy that. So thank you, Naptime Stitcher. That was great, and it was good to make me touch all my projects again. So that was July, and then the beginning of August, and then again August is a bit more sparse because I'm just not getting enough time, as much time as I want to stitch, because there's teenage demands. Where's all the snacks, Mum? When's the shopping coming, Mum? Oh, can you take me up to my girlfriend's, Mum? When are you doing washing? I've got nothing to wear. Make a big mess everywhere. We on the toilet seat. You know, just yeah. So I've just been dealing with that. Order school uniforms. I'm halfway through that job. That's a big job. So there we go. That's why things have been a bit hectic. I have hurt my shoulder as well, although I did that in January or February, but it's been getting worse. And I went to physio and they said they thought I'd torn my rotator cuff. So then I went to the GP and then they referred me for a scan. And then I had a scan last week and that confirmed that I've got a tear in my rotator cuff. So I'm struggling with moving my arm. It's just painful all the time. I can't sleep on it. So that's getting on my nerves. I also had a bit of a car scrape earlier on in the summer, trying to squeeze past a recovery truck. That didn't go down so well. I didn't fit. So I went all down the side of my car, and it was all my fault because he just stayed still watching me trying to get past. Oh, what a plonker. So that went into the garage. And obviously the house moving stuff. My husband went to Cyprus with work at the beginning of July as well, so I was on my own for a few days. And during that time, my eldest son decided to get suspended from school. So that was great fun. That was really good. That was just not what I was expecting. So my husband, I don't deal with it very well. So my husband was trying to liaise with the head of year when he could go in for a meeting. So it ended up that he only went back to school 2 days before school finished. So that was a nightmare. That was my last few days of peace. Was stuck at home with the eldest teenager because he'd been naughty. Something and nothing. No, not really a big deal. He's not a bad boy. He's a good boy, but just 14 and testosterone and alpha male syndrome and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been a bit chaotic. So that's why. So forgive me for rambling. I'll edit some of it out if it's too much. And let's just get on. I'll work through my WIPs. And I hope you enjoy it, get something out of it. Have a nosy at my WIPs. See how rubbish I am at keeping up with stuff. If that makes you feel any better, then that's bonus for me. I'm not super efficient. I try to be and I'd like to be, but I'm not. So anyway, all right, let's go. I'll work through my book because then I can tell you what fabric everything's on. So I'm going to start with. I'll show you this. Finally made some quilting boards. Made a couple with Fat Quarter Shop tutorial. So 2 purposes: one to work on the bit of quilting that I've done, and one for more efficient demonstrations of WIPs. So I shall start with my Mirabilia. So beautiful, Sleeping Princess. I am stitching her. I started stitching her on 16th of December 2022, and I've done a few thousand stitches. I'm not sure how much. I use Knit Companion for my pattern keeping, and I just have to manually count. It doesn't keep track of my stitches, so much as I'd love to tell you how many stitches it is, I just know it's a few thousand. So here is Sleeping Princess with the lovely draped fabrics. So this is still blankets and dress, and I've just started to make some waves into the mattresses. This lovely fabric is Fabric Flare Opal, 32 count with sparkle in it. See the sparkle, and I am stitching 2/2 this one with the called for DMCs, DMC blends, cry knit, mill hill beads, and I have not yet stitched her. I was saving her. I wanted to work on the rest of the bed. I did a centre start, and I was saving her because I knew if I get up to her then it's hard then, isn't it, to push on with the rest. Really would like to get to the patterned mattresses. I think it's very pretty. It does remind me of Princess and the Pea, which is a favourite, an old favourite story. Rogue Mama Stitcher was stitching this with me, or did start it with me, and she did get up to her face, but I've not seen it for a long time, so but I am behind, very behind on several Flosstubes. So there you go. So that's Sleeping Princess by Mirabilia, WIP number 1. Okay, so WIP number 2 is my very beautiful Indian Maiden, who I adore. She is in this book, Native American Cross Stitch by Joan Elliott. It's an old one. It's very beautiful. Some gorgeous designs in here, but the cover girl was the one that attracted me to the book. Found in a charity shop, still easily available. There's an error in the pattern in the book. You can get the PDF from Paul Stitches, I think, through who she does the Joan Elliott designs, doesn't she? She sells the Joan Elliott designs, and so if you get the PDF, then that's easy. You haven't got the missing line, but you can get in touch with Joan and she'll supply you with the missing bit that's not been printed in here. She is a lovely pattern. I started this February last year. I am doing this on a 32 count also. Just get it in a good spot. It has many parked threads because there's a lot of different colours and patterns in the clothing, and I've done some backstitch, and it's easier to leave them parked. I don't always do parked. So there we go. It's a gorgeous fabric. The fabric is Creationist Golden by Fabric Flare, and I'm stitching 2/2 with all the called for colours, DMCs and cry knits, mill hills. Haven't put any beads on yet, but I have started the cry knit, and I have made a start on the border. And when I was working on it for Stitch the Summer Olympics, I was just trying to come down here. I did this little bit here just to try and get this part of the cloak worked on, because I've got a bit fed up of this cry knit moon. I'm finding it difficult to go back to. So, and I've done some of the back stitching, and I've done the long stitches here for the feathers, but there's still much more to do. She's got beads in her hair and all sorts. So she's absolutely stunning, and she is one I want to focus on in September for definite. What I thought I would do is, after I'd done the 100 days of Chatelaine, my plan was then to do 100 days of Indian Maiden, which I haven't managed because of all the aforementioned summer holiday issues, life. So I would like to try and do that still. I would like to do 100 days of her. I think she deserves it, and I think it'd be great to see it come on another chunk. So that's my Indian Maiden. Beautiful, beautiful. I did add fabric onto this because I was struggling with the scroll bars and getting enough tension. It's quite tight because it was a set piece from Fabric Flair. Could have done with bigger really in hindsight, but it's always an option just to add on fabric for tension and stretching, and I might need to add some at the side when it comes to framing, but we'll see. So that's why there's the silly Halloween fabric on there as well. Project number 3 and 4 are both Blackwork projects. They're both from 2021, both Sal's that I started and didn't finish. This one, the first one, is a Botanical Blackwork Sal by the Steady Thread, Claire Bradshaw of the Steady Thread. I started this February 2021. It's on a dusty green cotton even weave, which is very pretty, 28 count. And this, I can't show you a picture of what this would like because this is very individual. Everybody was doing their own choices of colours, their own choices of the style of the garden layout. You had 3 choices. Some other options were hexagon layout and something else. Can't forget, I don't remember now, it's that long ago. And then I picked my own colours for the fills. These are the fills. You got one of these a week. And I still really, really love this, and I don't want it to be unfinished. I want it to be finished. So I need to make a plan, really. Me and Emma X Stitching made a plan a couple of years ago, as we both have this, and we were both going to go, right, let's go back to doing a square a week, do each week fill in and get on it. And I did it for about 3 weeks and then fell off, and Emma was not too dissimilar. So but I would like it to be finished, so I still have a lot of love for it, and I would like it to get done, but I don't know when it's going to get done, but it's not being UFO'd. So that was the first one. And the other Blackwork Sal was a Peppermint Purple. I'm sure you've all seen them. She does a yearly free Sal. And again, this one I can't show you what it should look like because it's weekly fills, and I picked my own colours. I went with teal dual colours, pinks and teals and purples, and did my own personalisation in the middle with my DMC motto that I charted myself and stitched in. And this one started January 2021, so a similar time and a similar, although this one I'm now only 4 weeks off finishing, 4 fills. So although that would exclude wanting to do a decorative border, which I did want to do a decorative border, or something just in these corners, a blackwork fill here, just to finish this off. So it's 4 more fills plus a bit extra really before I can frame. I've even bought a frame, big square frame. So that one will be finished, and that one is a potential that could and should be finished this year and should be knocked off my list, because I do love that as well. That one is an antique pink cotton even weave, 28 count. You get to see more detail on the 28 count. If you go smaller than 28 count, you start to lose detail. It starts to disappear because it all closes in. but I love the detail. And it was very generous of her to do these free stitch alongs. They're still going on now, but I never did another one after that. So that's WIPs 3 and 4. So WIP 5 is also from 2021. It is Doreen Jones design for Stitchingly. So it's not available to buy very easily, but you can still get it through Stitchingly. If you have a look, I'll put a link down below and you can have a look if you're interested. So this was a Sal in 12 parts, and I kept up with the first 3. I'm on the 4th part of 12, and I did a little bit on this with the Stitch the Summer Olympics, so that felt nice to actually pull this one back out again. And there we go. So still up to Russia at the moment, and I was working on the land and the sea all around Russia. This is on an antique white Zweigart Murano 32 count, and I was just doing this as called for with the MCs. It's very pretty, loads of detail. I've backstitched as I've gone along. It's half stitch for the sea, and I would really like to finish this. So that needs some time also. I'm wondering if I need to do spin the wheel or something on a weekly basis to pull these back into rotation. What does any of you do if you've got WIPs that you want to work on and they keep being forgotten in favour of new shiny things? And then this next one is possibly my oldest WIP. I don't think I've got anything else from 2020. So this is my oldest WIP, and this is a Riolis kit. It's Cherry Blossom. It's called Spring. They do 4 seasons, but I'm not a tremendous fan of the other seasons. That's the other seasons there down the middle. But I'm a massive fan of Cherry Blossom. So this kit, I don't even know when I started it in 2020. I've just put a question mark there. And I tried very hard to get it finished this Cherry Blossom season, but also didn't manage it. But I'm really not that far off, and it isn't a big deal. It's quite simple, and it's lovely woolen threads. I think they're a mix of wool and acrylic. So yeah, I'm really not that far off. So this in the kit was 16 count Ada and the acrylic yarn. I don't think I actually did anything on it between 2021 and this year, so yeah. There we go. So that's WIP number 6. WIP number 7 is another Sal. Is it 2021? Yes, it is. This was summer 2021. Couldn't resist. This was another Blackwork Sal. So again, just stitching lines as opposed to crosses. That's where I've got up to. That's the whole pattern. So this came out in pairs of squares. So again, I've managed the first 3. I've stopped at 3. There must be a theme there, mustn't there? So this is a 32 count Zweigart Murano as well. And I was just doing this in DMC 158 because I loved the look, and that was what she designed, Dutch tiles. I have formerly lived in Holland for about a year and a half in 1995, 1996. Did learn to speak Dutch while I was there, and it's all gone out of my head because now I'm an old lady. So it was a long time ago. Anyway, so that's why I had a bit of an affinity for that. Project number 8 was Handmaid's Tale. I'd finished that. Christmas Jar Ornaments was project number 9 in the book. And that's this one, but a Dimensions kit on Plasticada, and you make the jars. And I previously finished the blue one, and then the next one I was tackling was this one. So I'm not even halfway through. I am just probably about 30% through the kit. Well, one complete and one started there, little deer on a ice rink or something. So she'll come back out later on when it gets a bit more seasonal, and I'll try and get her finished for Christmas. So that's the Dimensions kit done as charted. And then next I jump to the 2023 start, the Needleworker Cottage Garden Samplings Collector Series, Snowman Collector Series. And I saw somebody else stitching this, which made me want to stitch it. So I started it. And I also worked on this during the Stitch the Olympics. I was carrying on down his sack. He's carrying a sack over his shoulder. But these are a lot of stitches. It's not to be underestimated, these. What is it? 100 by 130, which doesn't really sound like that much actually, but it's solid stitching. That snowman's all solid. So again, what have I done here? I've done, don't know, I haven't got my, don't know. So yeah, solid stitching, and I would like to get the Needleworker finished, because it's lovely with the little sewing machine and the scissors and the bobbins and the, but this I'm doing on a 36 count linen called Stone by Fabric Flair, and the called for colours are 8 DMCs and 2 Weeks Dye Works, Baked Apple and Grapefruit. Okay. Project number 11, Summertime Sal. This is lovely. This is very bright and colourful, by Susan Bates. You know, I'm a big fan of Susan Bates. This was another one designed by Susan for Stitchingly, which you may or may not be able to get. I think you have to be a member now to get access to these past Sals, but she's done lots of similar things and lots of similar stuff in her books, and also on Cotton Club Crafts also have Susan Bates and a summery one from by her. So that's the pattern, and this is where I'm up to. And I've just managed to do the ice creams and the ice lollies, the Fab Lolly and the Rocket Lolly and the 99 during the Stitch the Summer Olympics. So I've just got to come up here now and do the Helter Skelter, the word pier, some sunglasses, and then ice cream at the top. And the one above the flip-flops, which says chips, you could have it to say chips or fries. I'm actually going to change that, and I'm going to put a watermelon there, because I think that finishes off the summer scene nicely, because there's already some chips there. So I didn't want just another word of chips, I wanted something else. This is stitched on another Fabric Flair Even Weave Cloud Summer Sky 28 count. Well, that's that. I enjoy working on that because it's so bright and summery, isn't it? Just cover that up. There we go. Which brings me to Project 12. Project 12 not touched. This is one that's not been touched. in ages. This was another Sal from 2021. There was a theme that year, wasn't there? Lakeside Needlecraft Sal, designed by Doreen Jones. Christmas Tweetings. Beautiful wreath, came out in 6 parts. And this one, I didn't even get the first part done. It's terrible. I really need to just flash this and gloss over it. Oh, I don't know, why don't we finish these things? So there you go, little heart. You can see a little heart, and that's all you need to see about that. That's on a cream fabric flare 28 count with called for, and I love it. I love the design. It's quirky. It's Doreen Jones style, where it's chunky birds, bright colours. It'll look pretty when it's done in the double wreath with the hole in the centre. Don't want to UFO it. I need hints and tips. Okay, and let's carry on. 13, Treehouse of Summer by Soda Stitch. This was started last May, and my intention is to finish it this summer. I'm still going to carry on working on this actually over the next couple of weeks. This has been, because it's so cute. So I've just been doing some more of the tree here, because it's lots of lovely shades. It takes a little while. This is done on a very pretty fabric flare even weave called Candy Floss. You get all the lovely colours. It's 28 count, and there's 27 colours of DMC in there. Yeah, really lovely design. Love Soda Stitch, and want to keep on working on that one. That's going to stay, that's right in current rotation at the moment. The next one, again, this is very quick. This was an A2V brand gift that a lot of us got, and it's on a crunchy Ada, and there you can see Peter, but don't know, lost enthusiasm. That would be easy enough to finish. That's project 14. Project 15, which is where I will have been up to when I first started my very first Flosstube. So this is a cute one. Halloween Letters by Primrose Cottage Stitches. I loved it because it says Halloween down the side. And all the called for in this was Classic Colourworks and Weeks Dye Works and a bit of DMC. And I've just gone with my own sparkly stuff. So a mix of Gutterman sparkly, and what else have I used? And I've used Glow in the Dark for the ghosts. So yeah, I would like this to be finished for this Halloween. So this needs to come into rotation now over the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Yeah, I've got a little bit of time. And this is on a fabric flare even weave emerald opalescent. Right, it is sparkly, didn't notice. Can you see any sparkles? Yeah. So 28 count, cutie. I like that one a lot. I don't know how I'll finish it, but yeah. Project 16 then, started in October last year. Nora Corbett Capricorn. The Yorkshire Stitchers are now doing a Sal of the Zodiac Girls, and I'm still way behind. She's very cute. She's beautiful. In fact, she's not cute, she's beautiful. Did I do a tiny bit, or was Capricorn the one I missed? I think Capricorn was the one I missed, so she was supposed to be in Stitch the Summer Olympics, but I didn't manage to get to her. So that's where I'm up to with her. She is on a Peppermint Linen Mocha, 32 count. Everything called for. DMC is a blend, 3 carat water lilies, Cryonics, and some lovely beads. Yep. She needs working on. preferably before my next birthday, which is January, obviously. And project 17, the Snuggle is real. Hannadale artwork for bothy threads, originally in just cross stitch. What was it in? Yeah, just cross stitch, December 23 issue, and then later released as a kit by Bothy. Don't be overwhelmed by this. Right, there we go. So this also went into Stitch the Olympics rotation, and you can just see I'm here. That's the slope of the slipper, and this is stitched on a Rendale Speckle Even Weave 28 count, and the threads are Bothy threads that I got in a kit from Bothy. Would like her to be done. 18 was a fully finished, 19 is a fully finished, 20 was the Stitchfinity Advent Calendar. I have just signed up for this year's Advent Calendar, so I would like to finish last year's Advent Calendar, which is a brilliant kit. Comes in a box like this. You do a bit a day, split up into the 24 days, 25 days. And this is last year's. You might have seen it completed online somewhere. Let me put it back on my board and I'll show you the parts that I've done. So I've not done too bad. And that's the one I'm up to now. This is done on perforated paper. And as you can see, it'll be a gingerbread cottage when it's done. So that's the roof, and then I'm on the third side, and I've got another tall side, and then I'll be able to make it up. And then they've provided you with a little light that will go inside after. You cut out your windows, which I've done, and I've even bought, last year I bought some little gingerbread men to stitch around it. So it's going to be, it'll be 3D, it'll be stood up, obviously, if you didn't gather that already. It would be nice to display that this December whilst I work on this year's project, whatever it will be. Because it's always a surprise. They don't tell you. They like the element of surprise, and so do I. Don't mind at all, because they're great kits. All the past ones are still, the past kits are really good, but they do seem to get better and better each year. So that is WIP number 20, and that's my plan for WIP number 20. 21 is a fully finished, that's Tiny Town. 22 is Let's Love Teddy, fully finished. 23 was Months in a Mug in January, which was a fully finish. And 24 is Queen of Thread by Lindy Stitches, using Cottage Garden threads, lovely variegated threads. And this one is so close. This got worked on a little bit as well for Stitch the Olympics. I've just got to complete that border and then fully finish it somehow. So that's Queen of Thread. She's stitched on 32 count gingham hearts from the Stitch Bunny shop. Project 25 is a fully finished. That was my cross stitch doll, my little mini me. And project 26 is my Chatelaine. So I've left this one in its Q-snap just for ease. That's the only one, because this is partially beaded, I will put a picture up here of the whole pattern, which is called Polar Beauty Mandala, and this is where I'm up to. So this was my 100 days worth of at least 30 minutes a day, plus 1 or 2 days just prior to that. I have been working my way around the border, just at the end, towards the end of my 100 days. I'm putting the beads on all the way around, which are just sparkling a little bit for you. So I was just beading on my 100th day, and then I was all chatelained out. So I haven't picked it up since. I will pick it up again in winter and finish the little fill in this border, and my next aim is to go with the image at the top, the foxes, the Arctic foxes. This is an immense project. It was started as a leap year Sal 2024, with the aim that I'll finish it for 2028. Beautiful threads, everything that was called for, pretty much, with a couple of substitutions of threads that you can't get anymore. And there you go, that's her. I won't linger on that too much because you've seen a lot of that. It is beautiful, and I will come back to it. Just 100 days wore me out a bit. My next project. Oh, so the Chatelaine retreat was very lovely. A really lovely couple of days. Great fun. I was really thrilled to be there. It was lovely chatting with everybody else, and it was really nice looking at the brag table. That was the best bit. One of the best bits is just seeing everybody else's work. So at the end of this Flosstube, if you stick around, I will add on a video of the Chatelaine retreat brag table, and then you can all have a look as well. WIP number 27 is my Romeo the Groom Mouse, and very sorry to say, less said about that the better. WIP number 28, Needleworker's Oath. Love her, really love her. Want to push on and get her finished sooner rather than later. However, the skirt is immense. That is something between 3,000 and 4,000 stitches. And so here is my progress on her. There she is. I have to keep coming away from the skirt. Obviously the white stripes, they're not filled in yet, so a long way to go with this skirt, but the skirt's got to be done before I do anything else around it, otherwise I'll never go back to the skirt. She is being stitched on a cafe au lait even weave, 36 count, with all the called for floss, which is 5 classic colourworks and 11 DMCs. So that's her, and she's in current rotation as well. Project 29 was a fully finished, was my watermelon. Project 30, WIP 30, is Greenhouse, the number 3 in the Fabulous House series. This one, this was started at the Wrexham retreat. I do love this one. This is on a massive piece of antique lamb's wool permin linen, and that's where I'm up to. It's 35 count. using all the called for DMCs. There was no fancy flosses in this one. So pretty. Yeah, love it. Love that one. And WIP 31 is the one I can't show you, I'm afraid. Very sorry. I'll show you in the future. WIP 32 was one part of the Fun for 50 Sal with Flossie Sews and Grows and So Me Sarah. Light. Proved very popular. Love this. Really love this. This is the one I started at the Chatelaine retreat on the Sunday. Did I start it on the Sunday or the Saturday? I think it was the Saturday actually, yeah, because Friday was the 100 days. So I did some more. I did some of the beading on the Chatelaine on Saturday, and then I wanted a new start. And Sally was there, Flossie Sews and Grows. So we had a great time, and she was working on hers, and I was working on mine. And that's where I'm up to with mine so far. I chose a 32 count Belfast linen in blue spruce for this one, using DMCs. Oh yeah, I picked my own colours. The main part, the fox is the same, and I have switched up the colour of the leaves because these are blue and they're charted as blue, and obviously it would be too close. So I've picked a variegated silk that I had. So I've just stitched it in the one colour and let the variegation do the hard work of the leaves, varying in shades. I haven't yet decided about the berries, whether to stick with the orangey, because they are quite orangey, or whether to go more red with me going green, but I think it'll probably clash with the fox, so I'll have to be a bit careful. And I was down at the bottom of this skirt just last night, so I love this. I love that so many people joined in with the Fun for 50, especially because it's coming up to my 50th birthday as well, and I really wanted to join in with something with them, so that's fab. And Project 33 was a Sal with cross stitch Sarah, and this is my stitching time. I picked my own fabric for this. I chose, you see it's opalescent, it is Iridescent Desert, that's called. That's why I got Murano 32 count. So I also picked my own flosses. I've gone with a combination of classic Colourworks and paint box threads. And Sarah has just finished hers a couple of days ago and posted it on her Instagram if you want to have a look. She went with called for. So mine's slightly different. Rogue. I like to go rogue. And it's almost finished, and then can be displayed for my husband. Love that. That's a cute one. And WIP 34, which is my final WIP in my book, is the 2023 Nutcracker by Shannon Christine. I bought this last year. I wanted to start it and haven't, and then decided to get on with it because the Yorkshire Stitchers were talking about the Nutcrackers. So I have made a start. This is my start. Is that the right way up? Yeah. So that's his lovely beard. That's actually going to be all beaded in the end. The gaps that you can see, they're all beads. And this, I've gone with the charted colours, but I'm doing it on this Belfast linen. So I got Belfast linen 32 count in chocolate. So I thought chocolate and pink, that's going to go very nice, and I thought it would just pop just a little bit more. So that's my plan with him. Love it. Enjoying that. So that was my very latest last new start, which I started on the 14th of July. So now my plan, these WIPs, this is a big pile. I was never really that worried about having so many WIPs on the go. What did I say I've got? 26. But I guess now with the overwhelm of the summer holidays and just feeling a little bit like overstimulated, sensory overload if you like, too much noise, too much things going on, I've reached my limit for this period of time. Even though there's loads that I'd love to start, I'm not starting anything else until I've made a proper plan of what I'm going to do with these WIPs. Like I say, there's only really one. There's maybe the Peter Rabbit one and Christmas Tweetings that hasn't been touched at all. Those two I need to make decisions on, really. Am I keeping them? Am I going to put some stitches in them? Or am I going to UFO them? So those are the only two, really, that are questionable. The rest of them I want to keep and I want to do. The question is how? How do I choose? How do I make my mind up? And maybe I can't decide that just yet until I get the kids back to school. Maybe the moving house thing is going to override. I mean, you never know, do you? Sometimes it's such a long process. We might not move. We might not even get to the point of moving. I don't know. Christmas, January, February, March, maybe this time next year. It's just an unknown. It's an awful process, isn't it? Anyone that's been through it. Awful process. We're busting out of this house. I need more space. You know, I sit here. This is the corner of the kitchen. So I don't have any space to myself. One of the, you know, every house you look at, you have to compromise on something. It doesn't matter how much money you've got to spend. There's always a compromise. So for this house, one of the compromises that I'm still not going to have a sewing room or craft room or whatever you want to call it, to put all my stuff in one place, in one room where I can shut the door and keep it nicely organised. So I've not made a final plan about that. There is, however, a possibility of a garden pod or two. Even my husband could have an office in the garden. He can have an office in the house, but then we're compromising on other things. It's complicated, isn't it? So yeah, I've got that on my mind and trying to clear up a bit here, do outstanding jobs, sort through the kids' things that they don't need anymore, sort through things that I've got sentimental attachment to from the children and need to let go of. So there's plenty of jobs that I need to be doing in the house while we're waiting for everything else to fall into place with the solicitors. So yeah, it's a big deal. I think it's probably on my mind more than I think it's on my mind. The task of moving house. We're staying in West Yorkshire. It's a lovely house. It's just about less than 15 minutes away from us here, where we are now. It's more difficult for getting the kids to school, so I'm a bit anxious about that. But it's a great house, a great spot. Got a really good feel. I cried when I was in the garden looking at it. I was that overwhelmed with how lovely it felt. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to carry on stitching no matter what, because it's so important, isn't it? It's a good focus, it's a good distraction. I am, however, on a self-imposed buying ban, because I can't justify it while we're trying to move house, and I've got so much anyway, it's ridiculous. So I'm reining that in, with the exception of my wiggly fabric of the month, because I'm really glad that I'm on that club. and I don't want to lose that. And the fabulous houses. I'm still on the auto ship with Peakside, but that's not much. So I'm gonna stick to that. And my next retreat is already paid for. That's with the Yorkshire Stitchers in October, so I can look forward to that as a bit of respite as well. So yeah, a lot going on really. I'll just mention a couple of Flosstubes I've watched recently. One is the Andrew the Runner Stitcher. You've got to see his birthday cake that his boyfriend made him. It's a cross stitch cake. It's so lovely. So thrilled for you, Andrew. That's definitely going to be on my request list with my husband for my 50th in January. I want one of those. They look really good. So go and see that. Go and look at Andrew's Flosstube and see his birthday cake. His cross stitch birthday cake. Brilliant. And Flossabilities, Lauren. I loved the video with her brother Sam, and they were talking about their latest release, the Cabin in the Woods, and Sam has done the designing for that. It's great. It's so nice to see the brother and sister relationship, and that they're working together on these projects. I think it's brilliant. I really love the compass points around the Cabin in the Woods. Very, very, very tempted for that, but again, I'm going to have to just hold off. So go and watch that when she introduces her brother Sam. I'll tell you what else is good. I've watched Laurie Holt's new sewing room tour. Oh, now that, talk about imagining a house of your dreams. That was something else. That, I mean, obviously she's very talented and worked very hard for a long time. But you've got to see how she's done a house, and this floor that's dedicated to her crafting. She's got a cross-stitching room, she's got a cutting table, she's got a fabric room, she's got a filming space, she's got a crochet space. You've got to go see it, and the way she's decorated it all with all her own work. It's amazing. So I'll link it below. Well, watch that if you've got a spare 20 minutes, and just dream what yours would be like. Thanks to everybody that watched the last Flosstube that was trying to help me find which magazine my Auntie Doreen's stitching was from. I had quite a few suggestions from Pauline of Sobe Bags and Lindsay the Cheshire Stitcher and Karen Jorgen Jensen from Denmark. They all remembered it as being a freebie from a magazine in the early to mid 90s. So yeah, it was kind of what I thought. I've had a look for the magazine, I can't find it, but not to worry. It's nice just to have a sort of age of the piece. So now I know it's 30 years, which is lovely to have. So I will just show you my quilting foray. I ordered from the Fat Quarter shop some time ago the Millie's Dresses quilting pack, and because I saw Bumble Stitches stitching this, I really fell in love with it. Not that I've ever made a quilt before. You've seen I've done tiny bits. I've never made a full-size quilt, but this I really wanted to make. So I got the full kit shipped over from America to wait ages, and I won't even talk about customs charges. It's a good job I wasn't on a spending ban then. I'd been in serious trouble. So because the kit was quite expensive, and if you go over £135, custom charges are then applied. So it was held up for a little bit while I paid the customs charges, and then eventually got the kit through, which is fabulous. This is all the fabrics. You get in the kit, you get a load of fat eighths, and these are all the folded up fat quarters. and then this one at the front is the backing, the surround that's around the quilt. So I was very excited to get that, got the pattern with it, and then I worked my way through the pattern and made myself. I had no idea how to tackle it really. I'd watched the quilt block tutorial on Millie's dresses from by Kimberly of Fat Quarter Shop, and I thought, how am I going to tackle all the different pieces? I'll just show you. You've got all these different pieces that you quilt together. Absolutely tons of pieces. I don't know how many pieces? Lots of pieces. And I thought, I don't know quite how I'm going to tackle it. So I decided to make myself cardboard templates because I was making mistakes with cutting. I was trying to cut. I tried with practice fabric first, and I was quilting rulers are a little bit tricky to navigate. If you've ever had a look at one. So, like for example, it starts at 1. You have a full inch, but then if you cut from the other end, you see where 12 is there, and then you have another half. Is it half or a quarter? It's a half. You have another half an inch there. So if I accidentally cut from the other side, from this side as opposed to the side that starts on the full inch, I was cutting wrong. So I decided that I needed to do myself little templates. Then I could have like a double check in my head. So for example, this little piece D is a 2 inch by 2 inch square. So I made a little template. I've drawn on sort of the information where I'm stitching, and then as I was cutting, I could double check with my template. Right, am I cutting the right size? This should be 2 inch, and that did help me with accuracy. So that was why I made myself all the little templates, and then I could put the templates with the pieces then for when you're trying to quilt it together. And so this was my attempt using my own practice fabrics, and I was really pleased. This obviously is one block, one dress block, and obviously this is a bit higher because you would then add on another length of border when you've got a few dresses in your line. So that's a seam allowance, that's a 1/4 inch seam allowance that would be stitched and hidden, if you follow me. So that's why that doesn't sit right at the top there, which did confuse me at first, but then I figured it out. So this is my practice piece, which I think I'm going to go ahead and quilt and keep as a standalone. I'll do a border around it, and I might make it into a project bag. So that was my thought for that one, and I was just really thrilled that I got one under my belt, so to speak. Now the fold lines are not perfect on the back. I have messed up like a little bit, like things like this where I've not folded and pressed quite right, but overall I don't think it was a bad job. There's another little bit there, and that would obviously add to bulk on the front. So a few little mistakes, but nothing that's a big deal, and just really good to practice with that fabric. I really enjoyed doing that. So also on my to-do list is to work my way through the real fabrics and start making the dress blocks. I noticed Nicola from Bumble Stitches has just posted her completed one quite recently, so have a look at that. It's beautiful, so beautiful. So another great design. And then in here I have also put another quilt pattern that I've downloaded from Fat Quarter Shop. They've got quite a lot of free quilting patterns if you wanted to have a go at just one little block. So this is one that I would like to have a go at some point in the future. Even just the sewing machine or just a bobbin, not necessarily the whole quilt. So you could have a look at that. I'll put a link down below to where the free quilt designs are. Millie's Dresses is a paid one. And I was going to go through a bit of haul, but I don't think I will because I've had enough. Everybody came home ages ago, and I'm going to have to edit this like a beast to cut out all my waffle. So I think we'll leave it there for now. I'm tired and overwhelmed and need summer holidays to be over and everybody to go back to where they belong and leave me in peace for a bit so I can get my head together. So I hope this wasn't too rambly, waffly or boring. I hope you enjoyed having another look through my WIPs with all my added new starts. Oh, nearly forgot. Okay, so my giveaway from last time was this duplicate that I'd bought of Heart in Hand Seaside Tiny Town. So just before I started filming, I did a random comment picker. Where is it? Let me pull it up. And this is the winner. So congratulations, Lisa. Winner is Lisa Snowden 8464. So Lisa, if you want to get in touch with me through Instagram, private messaging, and let me have your address, I'll get this out to you. I know summer's nearly over. I'm very sorry, but you can do it for next year, like I probably will. Maybe we could sell it next year, next May maybe. So congratulations, Lisa. Hope you enjoy the chart, and thanks very much for all the comments. Where did Lisa like? Lisa's favourite seaside place was Filey. Yeah, a bit more Yorkshire. We love Yorkshire. Beautiful place to come. If anybody, it's so big, so much of it. So that's for Lisa. If Lisa gets in touch with me, that'd be great. And I'll leave it there. Okay, job done. Nice to see you all. I really appreciate you watching. If you want to comment, that's brilliant, because I love it. Just gives me something else to think about other than everything else that's going on up here for me. So thanks very much. Hope you're all getting on with your projects that you like. Hope life is being kind to you. And lots of love. Happy stitching. Take care. Bye bye.